Welcome to Pensare Basketball's official trade deadline show. We are sponsored by absolutely nobody because we're not giving out the corporate shills. However, there have been a slew of notable but not so notable trades, including Luke Kennard, the New York Knicks getting some reinforcements via Jose Alvarado in light of the fact that Deuce McBride is now potentially going to be out. If this is real, which I have no reason to believe it is not, that is huge news. So that is breaking right now, I'm assuming, and this has been in the works pretty much since yesterday. Yes, the Los Angeles Clippers are trading Ivica Zubac to the Indiana Pacers. Let's see, what are the details of this? We will see. Good job. Good job by Kevin Pritchard. Again, to those people who are keeping up with this, I have been saying for about a year that if Masai were to leave, Kevin Pritchard would be a guy that I would look at. And damn, that's a great move for the Indiana Pacers. If anyone is keeping tabs here, the Pacers are fleecing the entire world right now, honestly. So they get off that Miles Turner contract, right? They managed to get their pick back, which is incredible. They're going to get a top 5 pick, undoubtedly. They're going to have Pascal Siakam, Ivica Zubac, the top 5 pick, and I'm assuming that Ben Mathurin is going the other way. Again, I don't have details on this, but in order to make this work, I'm assuming that Ben Mathurin and some sort of pick is going the other way. I wonder if this opens up the door for the Toronto Raptors to make a trade for Jay Huff. Now, as a team that is starved for size in light of what is going on with Jakob Poeltl, I wouldn't be opposed right now to trading Chris Paul's contract with another second-round pick and getting Jay Huff. I wonder if the Indiana Pacers would be willing to do the Raptors a little bit of a solid, given the fact that they did make it to the finals last year, in large part because of Pascal Siakam. Imagine they traded Nembhard. They're not stupid. They're not going to trade Andrew Nembhard. I don't think so. So it's probably going to be Ben Mathurin, maybe Jarris Walker. Who knows? Is it still wide open? Is it still wide open? Well, the East is getting much stronger. We covered this yesterday on the show. The East is getting much stronger. Also, first of all, I want to apologize. I said I was going to start the show at 1:45, 1:50. Didn't get here until about 2:10. And it was a large part because we were doing our trade deadline show over on Players Choice. It got a little bit heated, a little bit of a, Kawhi conversation, how great was Kawhi all time, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, we'll see. Ghost Tommy saying Toronto will be the 9th or 10th best team next year. Well, I certainly hope you are wrong about that. Ayo Dosunmu was traded. Ivica Zubac was traded. Jock Landale was traded. I got to tell you, these are all 3 players that I would certainly have looked at if I was the Toronto Raptors. M Furlan saying, "Yo, yeah, Swiper calling you a liar wasn't cool." Yeah, it's definitely not cool. You're not gonna throw shade at me, and then when I ask you a question, how did I lie? How did I lie? I mean, that's something that I don't play with. You're gonna call me, any, and I don't know if I would necessarily go as far as to say liar is a derogatory term, but yeah, I don't play with that shit. What about Minot? I love Josh Minot. I love Josh Minot, so yeah. Tyler Young saying, first panel I've ever tuned into. It was quite interesting. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Please, man, Huff, Misi, I'm happy. Cobalt saying the chat on PC hates you for some reason. That's cool. That's perfectly fine. I understand that. Kawhi got locked in the cellar. Tyler Young saying, did that guy ever apologize? You said sorry right away for the Karen remark. I did say sorry for the Karen remark. However, I did sort of low-key imply in the chat about 10 minutes later that, kind of implied the Karen thing again. So is that a real apology or am I being a liar right now? I don't know. We can get Kawhi if the Clippers are blowing it up. Okay. Yeah, sure. RJ Barrett for Kawhi Leonard. Line it up. Misi versus Trace Jackson Davis. Who is better? Better at what? So if we're talking just better athlete, running in transition, getting lobs, probably Misi. but better overall as a rebounder, rim protector, screen setter. Trey Davis got it, man. I'm sorry. Like, to the people who understand, I have been long on the train of love Ibnisi. You know, I interviewed Joe Tuamu, who was the guy who actually trained Ibnisi for a little bit there. Obviously, very familiar with Samson Folk admitted to watching your video on Trace Jackson Davis and mentioned you. Oh, that's nice. That's cool. Yeah, Samson and I had a nice little back and forth about Trace Jackson Davis's height on yeah, shout out to Samson. Samson doing really good work over at Raptors Republic. And yeah, it's nice. It's nice to not hate everybody in the Raptors media. You know what I mean? It's nice that there's somebody out there that I can actually vouch for and say, that dude does good work. Samson does great work, honestly. Like, he does great work. You don't need me to tell you that. He does great work. He does. And again, like, my view on basketball, and I think a lot of people misrepresent this. They think, like, if you don't agree with me, I hate you. I absolutely do not hate people who disagree with me. I don't like people who are lazy. That is my general pet peeve as it pertains to basketball coverage and life in general. I am not a fan of lazy people. I am not a fan of dishonest people, and Samson has never struck me as dishonest or lazy. So he gets full votes from me on that. This was by Brett Siegel. What is by Brett Siegel? So 2 first-round picks are in fact going to the Clippers for Ivica Zubac lease. Dope. So they did end up getting the 2 first-round picks. Good job by Lawrence Frank getting the 2 first-round picks. I think Ivica had a bit of an outlier season last year. It was sort of out of nowhere. And if you're the Indiana Pacers, you're hoping that he is able to recreate some of the magic that he had last season. That being said, you know, he kind of gives them something they didn't really have last year, which is like a solid defensive big, right? Again, some people will swear up and down that Miles Turner is a great defender. Miles Turner is not a great defender. You are absolutely mistaken. So, OKC loving the Zubac trade. Sure. 2 firsts is expensive as fuck. For a guy who was honestly in all NBA conversations, no, it's not. And also, I think you have to also acknowledge contract value matters a lot. I don't need to tell this to Raptor fans. Raptor fans know very, very well that Emmanuel Quickley's value is greatly diminished by the fact that he is slightly overpaid. That Jakob Poeltl, despite being a very solid center, injuries and contracts make players basically untradeable. Ivica Zubac is I don't want to go as far as to say all NBA center, but he is a top 7 center in the NBA, and he earns money like he's the 20th best center in the NBA. So that in and of itself is worth a first round pick. Nice. This year, Zubac is in it. Yeah, so he slimmed down a little bit, and I think it's really hurt him. It happens with certain players. They bulk up too fast or they slim down, and it's just not good. Pen, would you be happy giving 2 firsts for Zubac? It would depend on the pick protections and what else went out the other way, yeah. He's a really good player. He's a really good player. Good touch around the rim, great screen setter, very smart. Sure. Not too hard to do. If the NBA cancels Kawhi's contract, Clippers' second offense, Raptors still have the mid-level exception, not a lot of max spots around the NBA. Interesting. Yeah, there you go. So, according to Jake Fisher, Benedict Mathurin to be traded to the Clippers as part of the Ivica Zubac trade. So, yo, man, I mean, as part of the Ivica Zubac trade. Okay, assume 27 and 29 unprotected. Well, I'm not giving unprotected first round picks. No, it would be at worst, it would be a top 7 protected. That would be at worst. RJ for Malik Monk and picks or Sabonis and RJ trade. Okay, let's take a look at some of the trades that have happened apart from this Ivica Zubac trade and break it down. This just in, the Chicago Bulls. I mean, I cracked this joke on Player's Choice, so I apologize for repeating myself if you're actually coming in from over there. But the Chicago Bulls have traded Benny the Bull for a second round pick. The Chicago Bulls are just crazy roster. If you look at what the Bulls are doing, and a lot of people are going to call it mad and crazy, but I get what they're doing. I don't agree with it. I wouldn't do the same thing, but it is absolutely it makes sense from the perspective that they are trying to mimic to some extent what the Indiana Pacers did last year. And they are looking, would you take DeMar in a trade? No. I hate the Bulls. Why hate? Who are you eyeing right now as a possible trade target? It's a good question. Josh Minot would be a wonderful trade target for the Raptors if they want to replace something close to what they had with Ochai Agbaji, but just in a bigger athlete who has, once again, a little bit of a connection with Scotty Barnes. That would be wonderful. So I believe, okay, let's just go through these trades. First of all, trade number one that we got to go through, Ayo Dosunmu going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves that just, beat the Raptors yesterday. Leonard Miller, Rob Dillingham, and 4 second-round picks going to Chicago for Dosunmu. So here is the funny part about this. That pick that was used on Rob Dillingham, I don't need to tell you, Toronto Raptor fans, was actually our pick that was traded in the Jakob Poeltl trade. So now that pick has turned into an absolute nothing burger and is now being shipped off for Ayo Dosunmu. So, I mean, I don't know. You want to look at it another way. The Raptors traded Jakob Poeltl for Ayo Dosunmu. That's a great trade. Uh, that being said, Ayo is a expiring contract. He is an unrestricted free agent. So the Minnesota Timberwolves will have to deal with the fact that he's unrestricted and can effectively leave if he wants to. Now, he is shooting 45% from three on relatively low volume this season. He is a pretty portable player. I brought this up on Player's Choice as well. I don't think he's as good defensively as, someone like Swiper was saying, like he was acting like he's one of the best rotation guards. He's not better than Deuce McBride. He's not better than AJ Mitchell. He's not better than Andrew Nemhard, but whatever the hell the next level down from that type of player is, he is that. He can fit into a multitude of different lineups. He's 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan. So I really like Ayo, and I really wanted the Raptors to get him. He was one of my trade targets. That being said, former lottery pick Rob Dillingham. This is a bit of an admission on the Timberwolves' part that they fucked up on that one. And also, they have Bones Highland, who effectively does a lot of the same stuff that Rob Dillingham does. I just think Rob Dillingham's a little bit too small to play in the NBA, and I wasn't a fan of him prior to the draft. So at least one draft take is aging very, very much like fine wine. The 4 second-round picks, it's a little rich. Leonard Miller is a player that I would certainly look at if I was the Toronto Raptors as a potential reclamation project, about 6'10". So, to everyone crying about the fact that the Raptors don't have a player above 6'9", hey, you have one in Leonard Miller. That would be interesting. The Bulls have added 9 second-round picks in the last week and 14 total overall, and that's a lot of second-round picks. But second-round picks are great sweeteners. And again, if you're looking at the Bulls roster right now, it's a lot of shooting. Gershon Yabusele, they added him as well. He is a shooter. Jalen Smith is a shooter. You look at that, you have big playmakers across the board, right? Again, you get rid of Kobe White, but you get Colin Sexton, Anthony Simons, Josh Giddey. Ain't a lick of defense being played in the Chicago Bulls offense, period. So they'll have to address their defense somewhere else. Matas is an okay defender, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be a fun, exciting, up and down team that's going to lose a lot of games. Praise God, please God, do not let the Raptors lose to the Bulls tonight. That would be insanely stupid. Armin saying the Pacers are stupid as fuck. Oh, wow. The Pacers are receiving a 2026 first-round pick from the Pacers, protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30, plus a 2029 Pacers unprotected first-rounder. What? No. No. You're not telling me they did that. Well, it is protected 1 through 4. So they're basically saying if it's the 5th overall pick or beyond, they're okay with it. But that's insane. I mean, this just means that the Pacers are going to bottom out even harder, right? I mean, this is a fact. Very many times, the worst team in the league has ended up with the 5th overall pick. So giving up the 5th overall pick for Ivica Zubac in this year's draft, plus giving up an extra pick, plus giving up an athlete, that is horrible. So let us, or maybe there's a wink deal with Adam Silver. Like, don't let us lose that pick. But my God, that is an unserious thing. And also in 2029, unprotected. I'm sorry. Okay, so in a lot of ways, I'm gonna let you know the Raptors had no chance of getting Ivica Zubac. If this was the trade offer that they were competing with, that is absolutely insane. 2026 1 through 4 is so dumb, says J32R1. I concur. I concur. Pen, would you be open to trading for Bogdan Bogdanovic? Sure, but he's a really great player. Very, very good player. Joshua Avery saying, congrats on the Pacers for clinching a 1 through 4 pick. There ain't no way in hell with everything. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. There is Adam Silver maybe in bed with the Clippers right now. If he is, like, that's crazy. So Clippers 5 through 9, and if the pick falls outside that range, it converts to the Pacers 2031 unprotected first. Well, this wouldn't be the worst time in the world for the Pacers to just suddenly get really, really good really fast and just fuck the Clippers over completely. So that is very interesting. Electric Girl Record saying Kings are begging for RJ. Well, if they are, I'll make you a really nice offer right now that you can't refuse. Okay, let's open up the trade machine for a second. We'll get back to the trades, and I promise I got y'all here. We started the show at 2:10. We'll be here till about 4 o'clock. I'm sure that there's going to be a flurry of trades that are going to break. We don't have necessarily the greatest news breakers in the NBA right now since Adrian Wojnarowski retired. We are not getting the same level of insight. Okay, they're not getting the same level of insight. Sham's been slipping a little bit, so unfortunately, the way the trade deadline works in the NBA is provided your paperwork goes into the call goes into the league office before the 3 p.m. mark, trades can still trickle in after 3 p.m. as late as sometimes 4 o'clock, 4:30. We will go with this show until 4 o'clock, after which, go with God, via con Dios. I got to go do pendant stuff. But we'll be here breaking down everything, and I'm expecting that there's no way that over the next 30 minutes we're gonna have a quiet deadline. There's still gonna be some trades that are gonna move. I'm sure there were a few teams that were vying for Ivica Zubac. There had to be, there had to be for that to be the offer. There had to be another really high competing offer, and I wonder if that offer was not from the Toronto Raptors. I wouldn't be surprised. The Cloair saying, is Toronto going to do anything? What are you talking about? The Toronto Raptors have already done something. You got their center. They got their third string center of the future. Don't shit on that, man. I am really looking forward to Trey Jackson Davis suiting up for the Raptors. James Mack saying, no, I have not discussed that. RJ is being held out for injury management tonight, in part, possibly. It could be, again, this could be sort of an internal, I don't want to say a punishment, but really, like, this could be one of those things that they're just handling it in-house and just deciding that based on his emotional state last night that he just shouldn't play tonight. This could also be a nothing burger. It could be holding him out for a trade. It could also be a lot of things. But there's no reason that you have to issue this, he's being held out tonight. You don't have to issue that to the league right now. You can literally now set at 6 o'clock, right? So Tariq saying, come on, Bobby, make some moves. Cool. Okay, so let's open up the trade machine here and let's make some trades. Let's do what Bobby Webster is not doing, and let's make some trades right here. So let's see if we can't get RJ to the Sacramento Kings, as the Sacramento Kings apparently are one of few suitors, one of the only suitors for RJ Barrett. So I would definitely make a move around Malik Monk. I think Malik would help tremendously in this situation. The problem is, beyond Malik, I don't know what other contract there is on that book that I would take, because I really wanted Keon Ellis. And now it's like, without Keon Ellis, I don't know how I do this deal, right? I'm definitely not getting Maxime Renault, although I would love to get Maxime Renault. I'm not getting Maxime Renault. I'm not sure how I feel about Nick Clifford, although my pre-draft evaluation would tell you he is massively underperforming whatever I thought he would be. I'm not interested in getting the Devin Carter business at all. I think he is awful. Doug McDermott, I mean, this allows the Raptors to save some money. Provided this deal could still go through with just those two players, it does save the Raptors some money. I just don't think it's legal. I don't think it's legal to do this trade, is it? Nope. Got to take back more money. So at this point, the Raptors also like, so, okay. What about rerouting DeAndre Hunter? But it's just like, now they can't make the move. It's a really weird roster situation right now where they don't have a young player. Keegan Murray is poison pilled. I don't have any interest in Devin Carter unless there's a third team willing to take him on, and then we can do a 3-team deal with the team taking Devin Carter. But Devin Carter has no value around the league at all. I mean, in theory, his pre-draft evaluation would tell you that the Raptors should be interested in Devin Carter. Maybe the Raptors were interested in Devin Carter pre-draft, but man, I don't know how you can look at his NBA career to date and even remotely get interested in him. Now, taking a look at teams that maybe were looking at Giannis, but have not been able to get Giannis. What would a deal like this look like for the Toronto Raptors? A straight swap of RJ Barrett for Andrew Wiggins. You're not really adding any years or any money to it. I mean, you're making it's a little bit more money, but now that the Raptors have that cap space, would you just do a straight swap of Andrew Wiggins for RJ Barrett? Would the Heat do it? RJ is younger. Wiggins is probably a bit of a better fit here. He does bring you some of the same slashing and, ability as RJ Barrett. He is a better player than RJ Barrett. He's a much better defender than RJ Barrett. Overall, 17.8 points versus 17.6 points. Do the Heat have any interest in just getting younger? And do the Raptors have any interest in just getting a little bit better? I don't know. Okay, so that's one thing you could entertain is a straight swap between Canadian former top 3 picks. So that's one we could look at. Looking at other potential Giannis suitors that maybe, are feeling a little bit like naked right now because they didn't get the guy that they were after. The Minnesota Timberwolves, right? Is there somebody on this roster that you'd be willing to poach, that they'd be willing to give up? Now, it's hard to make a move with the Minnesota Timberwolves because, once again, unless you're interested in taking on Julius Randle or Rudy Gobert, you really don't have anything to offer them that can help them win now more than the players they already have. I'd love to tell you that RJ for Dante DiVincenzo could work, but it really can't. And even with Ayo Dosunmu coming in right now, it's not like Dante becomes disposable in any way. And RJ doesn't really fit what they need to do, if I'm being honest. So you're kind of stuck in that situation. They are still in the need, technically, of a lead point guard. Like, I don't know if Ayo Dosunmu is going to be the starting point guard in Minnesota. So you could get into a situation where you want to trade Emmanuel quickly. Maybe make a deal for Naz Reid, But again, this just gets very, very wonky. So I don't think the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be a partner at all. Talking about fleecing the Clippers, this is definitely something that the Raptors could explore. They have Bogdan Bogdanovic, 2 years, $16 million. Ivica Zubac just got traded. They now have Ben Mathurin coming in. Yeah, I love Ayo. Absolutely. I'm a Pacers fan next year as well. What about you? I don't know if you're asking me. I will never be a Pacers fan. Terrence Shannon would be great. Naz Reid would be great. I just don't see a world in which a team that's trying to win a championship would trade Naz Reid for RJ Barrett. It just doesn't make sense. But from the Raptors' perspective, what really makes sense? What would make sense here? Bogdanovic, Brooke, Derek for RJ, Chris Paul going back to the Clippers. Third time's the charm, am I right? Okay. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Does this deal technically work? Nope. Because oh, so Chris Paul cannot be traded to a team aggregated with other players from a team because 2 months have not passed since he was traded for. His outgoing salary cannot be combined with another one of his teammates to bring in a higher salary player, the restriction implies. So, unfortunately, we can't do this deal. But you could potentially trade a trade exception and just waive Chris Paul because you're taking back. Wait, does the money make sense? No, 26, 35. No, doesn't really make sense. You'd have to trade something other than Chris Paul. What could you trade? What could you trade? What could you trade? You're not trading Trace Jackson Davis. So what could you trade in this situation? You're definitely not trading Grady Dick in this situation. I mean, this feels like a very desperate try to win now move, but Derrick Jones Jr. is a pretty good basketball player. He is fundamentally a pretty good basketball player. Okay. So, I mean, this reeks of desperation and stupidity and to some extent, but would you do a deal like this? Nicholas Batum, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Brook Lopez. Do you just trade RJ for a salary dump of 3 smaller contracts that help you maybe balance out your roster a little bit? It gives you a stretch big who has some veteran experience. It gives you a, a shooter, and it gives you, a veteran defender. Again, this is like very Rudy Gobert type of deal. I do believe you become a better basketball team. That sounds crazy to say, but I do think you become a better basketball team with this. You definitely become a lot deeper, a little bit more experienced. That's a trade that makes sense immediately. I don't know if they'd throw in a couple seconds just because RJ is younger. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I hate to throw it out there, but that is definitely a deal that could work. And I don't see why the Clippers wouldn't do this. You're turning 3 old players into a young player that you can sell to your fan base. And from an RJ perspective, you're going to an organization that plays in a huge market, go from New York to Toronto to LA. I don't know. It's not the worst situation. Create a nice little young core with him and Darius Garland and Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, Benedict Mathurin, kind of creating something there. It's an interesting team. It's definitely interesting. I would probably need some pick compensation here because I'm not really getting money flexibility per se, but I am getting smaller contracts that are a lot easier to move than RJ Barrett's $29 million expiring this summer. That being said, slow play this Kawhi thing till the summer. Slow play the RJ thing until the summer, and I think you could probably get something a little bit better than this. Now, what about the Nets? The Nets are a really interesting team from the Raptors' perspective because Terrence Mann and Day'Ron Sharpe for RJ Barrett kind of works, I think. Hang on one second. Yeah, it does. And why do you do this if you're the Nets? Well, very simply put, you do this to get off the extra year of Terrence Mann's money. You also do this because RJ is a household name in New York. He is a Knick, a former Knick that at least some segment of the fan base cares about. Shannon, one of the former members of this community would get season tickets to the Nets. They're giving away season tickets to the Nets, and no one wants them. So I think this could be an interesting idea for the Raptors to explore. It gives you 2 players who are very well known to Scotty, both really positive defenders, allows you to lean into that defensive identity. So, that's definitely something. The Wizards, I'm not really seeing anything with the Wizards unless it is a swap of Bilal Coulibaly for Grady Dick. But it's like Bilal makes so much more money at this point. I'm not really sure I want to even do that. But maybe if it was like traded player exception or something like that. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? The Lakers. I don't think RJ fits the Lakers at all. And they did just trade for Luke Kennard. The Jazz, not so much. The Pelicans. So a lot of people want to trade for Trey Murphy. Could this be the big move that the Raptors want to make? Certainly, something that the Raptors should definitely look into is these 2 players right here. Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, still guys in their 20s, relatively young. Obviously, it's not going to be a straight swap. It's just not possible to do a straight swap. So here, you're probably going to have to sweeten the pot with Colin Murray Boyles and Grady Dick. Would you do this if you're the Toronto Raptors? Would you make them younger to make yourself better? This is a deal that gives you shooting, defense, and a lot of people are saying no, no, no to Colin Murray Boyles. And I hear you. I hear you. CMB is awesome, but Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are also awesome. They're also in their 20s. In the case of Trey Murphy, you would have really one of the best shooters in the NBA locked up through his prime on a very, very good, cheap, inexpensive $25 million deal. Herb Jones, I believe his contract does go up to close to 20 million. So you are technically turning 3 assets into 2 assets, but the 2 assets that you have here, I mean, if I had to rank these players from top to bottom, the best player here is Trey Murphy. The second best player here is Herb Jones. The third best player here is Colin Murray Boyles or RJ Barrett, depending on how you want to slice it. And the worst player here is Grady Dick. So yeah, you're giving up 2 former you're giving up 3 former lottery picks for 2 non-lottery picks, I guess. But you get way better. I'm sorry to say, you get way better with this deal. Like immediately you get way better. And by the way, you don't get that much older. So I think if you could swing something like this with the Pelicans, if they were willing to do it, if they weren't like asking for a pick as well, I think you'd have to consider this. You'd be stupid not to. Um, yes. Luke Kennard to the Lakers. That did happen for Gabe Vincent in a second round pick. That is highway robbery by the Lakers. We went into an extensive debate on Luke Kennard and his value on the panel. I'm sorry to say, like Luke Kennard is so much better than Gabe Vincent. So yes, Armin saying RJ, please get traded. I gotta tell you, man, like I feel bad for the dude, but I would be I'm pulling for it too at this point. Sacramento, we've explored it. The Dallas Mavericks. Okay. Once again, my favorite target is Kyrie. If they want to get younger, because obviously they have traded Anthony Davis, there's no point in keeping Kyrie on this roster. So at this point, I gotta ask Kyrie, Najee, Daniel Gafford, right? 4. Wait, what the hell have I done here? Uh-oh. I apologize. I'm making a trade between the Mavericks and Pelicans. What if we do RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, 4, Najee Marshall, Daniel Gafford, Kyrie Irving? Who says no? They get younger, we get better, we get a more balanced team. We change 2 rotation guys for 3 rotation guys. We get the best player in the deal in Kyrie Irving, who is granted a little bit older and a little bit more expensive, but his years run out 1 year sooner than Kyrie. You do get a center replacement for Jakob Poeltl, which opens up the door to potentially have 2 centers. Who knows? Maybe 3 centers if Trey Jackson Davis turns out to be anything of consequence. I do think Najee Marshall is a comparable player. I know some people might find that really weird. I think he's a comparable player to RJ Barrett. Just makes a lot less money. I think the best player. I think you could debate the second best player here is Emmanuel Quickly, but maybe the third best player here is Daniel Gafford, and then you're splitting hairs between the others. But definitely, the Raptors get the best player in this deal if Kyrie is even remotely healthy. Like this, I think this deal turns you into the second or third best team in the Eastern Conference. If Kyrie is healthy, you might be the best team in the Eastern Conference to make this deal. Just from a perspective of spacing, shooting, all that stuff, like this would change your outcomes drastically, drastically. And Daniel Gafford is the type of like roll cut big that can really, really hold his own defensively and offensively. I'm not saying he beats Zubac, but very good basketball player. So I really continue to believe that the Mavericks are the best trade partner for the Toronto Raptors. Now the Bucks, they're looking for picks or they're looking for a splash. Can the Raptors do anything for the Bucks? I don't think they can. to be honest. I hate all of their players, including Miles Turner. If you were to trade Miles Turner for RJ Barrett, I don't think it moves the needle at all for us or them. I mean, it makes us better marginally because Turner is a better player, but I don't think it helps them at all. I don't see why the hell they would do that. Pacers, provided they are trading away Benedict Mathurin, what else went out in that deal? Let's just go back to Shams and see if any more details of the Zubac trade have been shared there. So the Bucks and Suns have expanded this to a 3-team deal to include the Chicago Bulls, Ousmane Dieng to Milwaukee, and Nick Richards to Chicago. What the hell? Ousmane Dieng is so much better than Nick Richards. What are we doing? Chicago trying to get a center who's trash. The Charlotte Hornets are trading Tyus Jones to the Dallas Mavericks for Malachi Brenham. Yeah, that broke a little while ago. Why is he so late on that? If the Pacers first rounder, okay, we already talked about this. So it's Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, 2 first-round picks, and 1 second-round pick to the Clippers. The Clippers are receiving the 2026 first-round pick from the Pacers, protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30, plus a 2029 Pacers unprotected first-rounder. I want to tell you, both of those could be top 10 picks, both of them, because the Pacers timeline with Zubac, they don't have a great young player that they're building around. Obviously, if they don't, like, this entire experiment hinges completely on them hitting top 4 this year. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy. I'll be honest. I would have protected 1 through 6. I would have fought 1 through 6, 13 through 30. 1 through 6, 13 to 30, and then lose every single game for the rest of the year to make sure that 6 is impossible. Like, I don't agree with this. You are tempting fate here. The Chloe Air saying it's like 10 minutes left. I guess we need to suffer more 9 to 5 for a couple more seasons. Don't be so sure about that. So very important to note that the Toronto Raptors this offseason, after presumably a playoff run in which they will be like the 6th seed or the 7th seed, they will have a chance to move RJ Barrett at a very, very high price. Now, let me make a case. So if you don't trade RJ Barrett, now this is why, as another team, as a rival team, I would absolutely trade for RJ Barrett. Let me give you a reason why. So this summer, RJ will be a $29 million expiring contract attached to a productive, relatively good, evolving, relatively notorious player with a huge, following, at least socially, huge following, a lot of fans. Okay, this is a player who can sell some tickets. Okay, not high price tickets, not Ja Morant, but it's a name. It's a dude. He's a dude. He's not Dalen Terry, right? He's a dude. Okay, he plays for the Canadian national team. He has an entire country that supports him. Okay, cool. So I would trade for this dude right now if I was another team, and then this summer I would dangle that contract with maybe another expiring for a more expensive former All-Star, right? So this summer, I would look whoever is pressed financially. Maybe by this point, the Orlando Magic want to blow it up and they need to get rid of Desmond Bane. Maybe by this point, I don't know, like this time next season, maybe the Pacers have fallen ass backwards and are looking to recoup some of their assets because Pascal Siakam is not working out. My point is, a trade of RJ Barrett straight up for an all NBA or all-star player should never be possible. But you look at the number of teams that are strapped by the CBA right now, okay? There's just some logic to be said that RJ Barrett this summer, combined with maybe Grady Dick, combined total, that's $35 million of outgoing salary. And by the way, you got off of Ochai's money. So there's no extension coming for Ochai. We had previously been thinking about maybe $8 million for Ochai. So we take Ochai off the table. The Raptors can take $40 million back in a deal including RJ and Grady. $40 million? That's a max player. That's another Brandon Ingram and no picks attached this time. So there's a lot of players that you could trade for in that situation. Let me check out the what the hell's going on here. Uh-oh. Okay, let me just take a look here. So player salaries. So players who are in this range: Michael Porter Jr., Franz Wagner, Scotty Barnes, James Harden, John Morant, Zion Williamson, Zion, Darius, OG, DeMontis. De'Aaron Fox got an next contract extension. Yikes, that Jeremy Grant contract just keeps running and running and running. Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün not going anywhere. Jalen Suggs, descending contract on Jalen Suggs, by the way. Trade for this dude, Raptors. Shit. Okay, Kyrie Irving, right? So the Raptors could potentially do a 1-for-1 or a 2-for-1 swap this summer, where if the shit goes very, very south with Emmanuel Quickley, move Emmanuel Quickley to another team, send RJ and Grady to the Dallas Mavericks, get Kyrie Irving on a shorter term deal, $39 million. So it'd be like almost a dollar for dollar match. And then go find a third team for Emmanuel Quickley and go find a center or something like that. It's definitely like Dominic saying Raptors just spinning their wheels. Look, I think it's very easy to just say like this team needs to make a deal, but it takes two to tango, my friend. RJ expiring next year, so more value next year, said Araf Haroon. 100%. You will have more value from RJ Barrett as a $29 million expiring than you do today. However, that being said, I believe if I was the Raptors, I would be pitching this win-loss record with RJ, without RJ. I would definitely be pitching his high character, although hard to do after yesterday, but high character. I would also be pitching his willingness to buy in as a cutter, paint touches and all that stuff, his growth as a shooter last year or 2 years ago when he shot like close to 40% from three. I would be preaching his work ethic, but I would also most importantly be preaching that he will be very, very valuable this offseason. As a $29 million expiring, combined with Grady Dick, who would be a $7 million expiring, that's like a get out of jail free card for a team that's locked themselves into a long-term contract. Kay Teller saying, "Holy fuck, Triple J's contract is ridiculous." It truly is not good. Yeah, like I agree with you. It's not a good contract at all. So it's a tough sell, man. I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. contract extension kicks in next year. This is his third contract. Starts at 49 million, goes up to 50.5 and then 52. So again, for everybody who wanted to trade for Jaren Jackson Jr., now you get a full picture of what that contract actually looks like. It is an atrocious contract. People are complaining about Scotty Barnes making $40 million. You want to pay Jaren Jackson $50 million to not do jack shit for you? Devin Vassell is another player where it's like maybe the Spurs really, really love Carter Bryant, Dylan Harper, Steph Castle. Devin Vassell becomes an expensive luxury you cannot afford. And so maybe you look at that this summer. Maybe the Boston Celtics suffer another Jason Tatum injury or a Jaylen Brown injury, and they want to blow it up with Derek White. These are all contracts in the right range for the Raptors. Maybe right now, the Toronto Raptors, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but you could swap RJ for Draymond Green right now. Get your center. Expires right around the same time. Trey Murphy is just that's a decent contract, man. Yikes, that Mikal Bridges extension. DeMar DeRozan may actually be bought out after today, so that is something worth considering as well. The Cameron Johnson deal that runs out next year, so he's going to be expiring. So maybe if he doesn't work out in Denver, you can do an RJ for Cameron Johnson swap. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I believe, has a player option next year. Dylan Brooks, another one that you could look at. The team option on Jonathan Kuminga is very interesting. Once again, I did mention that I would be open to an RJ for Jonathan Kuminga swap just because Jonathan Kuminga makes that much less money. Interesting. To anyone who has to help, if this helps you visualize it, that's Jakob's contract. So this year, 19.5, next year, 19.5, year after that, 27.3, year after that, 29.4. Now, worth noting as well, in 2028 offseason, so the summer of 2028, which is not that far away, we're 2 summers away from that. So people really overstress how disastrous Jakob contract is. I mean, it's bad, but it's not untradeable bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So in the summer of 2028, you will potentially be able to move Jakob Poeltl as an expiring contract. Let me explain. So he's probably there's a threshold for games played, minutes played that boosts his what I would call what is it, guarantee money for the year after. Jakob Poeltl is effectively a $29.4 million expiring contract, owed $5 million the next year. It's a $5 million guarantee. There's a guarantee date next year, at which point his contract is 27. So if he's playing really great, a team has the option to pick up that team option. I don't think any team in their right mind is picking up $27 million on a 34-year-old Jakob Poeltl at that time. So yeah, Jakob Poeltl will be movable in 2028. So until then, so we're 2026 right now, 2028 summer. So that's 1 year. That's half a year, 1 full year, and 1 more full year after that. So you have 2.5 years of Jakob Poeltl before he becomes an expiring contract, at which point I think he'll be a lot easier to move. Maybe you can move him with a 2nd-round pick off that. Santiago Aldama, good contract, man. Team option on that 3rd year. So you have 2 very valuable years there. I would happily make a move, RJ Barrett for Santi Aldama, and take back some bad salary in that deal. In fact, let's make a deal real quick. In the 11th hour right now. I'm not looking at the chat. There might be a trade. Is there a trade? Hold on. Let's just double check here. Shams, trade. Give us a trade. We want a trade. Do we have a trade? Nope. Do we? The Bucks and Suns have expanded this. Nope. Nothing.
What that draft compensation is, but clearly the Pacers wanted a center after losing Miles Turner in free agency last offseason. That's what this has been about. They scoured the market searching for centers.
Cool. And they didn't want Jakob Poeltl. Let that be known, Bobby Webster, Masai Ujiri. Okay, so if in fact the Raptors are done, which they may very well be done, okay, they could be, or some moves could still trickle in over the next, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We'll see. How do we feel right now? We feel like Armin saying, I missed calc for you. Calculus? Damn. L trade deadline for us once again. Adam saying, I feel awful. Feel like shit. BS. I wanted RJ traded. Can't wait till Bobby gets fired. Okay. I'm good. We didn't trade it first. RJ survived again. Okay. So let me ask y'all a question. And this is a good question, but let me ask you a question. Provided what the going cost for the biggest center moved really was Ivica Zubac. So given what the going cost was, which was Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, and 2 first-round picks, I ask you a very important question. By the way, call-in link is in the description. If you want to call in, call in. My important question to you is, would you have been okay with the Raptors matching the value of that offer? Let me give you a hypothetical in terms of how the Raptors could have matched the offer value of Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Stewart, sorry, Isaiah Jackson, not Isaiah Stewart, Isaiah Jackson, the 2026 first round pick, and the 2029 unprotected. So the way the Raptors would match that would be probably, let's see here. Colin Murray Boyles, Jakob Poeltl, 2026 first round pick, unprotected, 2028 top 5 protected, 2030 unprotected. Yeah. So, Recruiter Dude, what is up?
What's up, boss? How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I want to give you credit for the live you did yesterday.
Which one?
Not before the game.
Okay.
I was actually driving around. I had to do some meetings, and I had you on my Bluetooth. And I had to make a stop at Costco. So then I turned off the car and I put my headphones on. I'm like walking around, like hurriedly trying to get whatever shit I needed. And but no, it was sobering. Like, I give you credit because, I always give you credit for telling the truth, but it was sobering. And I think like there's some lingering anxiety. I can feel it from the chat and like other platforms right now, because people, I think, what did you say that I really liked? There's the emotion of CMB, or there's the emotion of Ochai, and then there's the logic of Ochai. And you went down sort of like every player, and like you could say the same thing. Like, there's the emotion of the trade deadline and there's the logic of the trade deadline. Emotionally, there's people who want some shit to happen. Mm-hmm. Because remember, I called in on the Knicks show. The Knicks, like, they're just, they punked us because we're young. So the Raptors are young. And the Magic, we were soft. They beat us because we were soft. And the description I would give to the Timberwolves game is like, we lost because we're goofy. We make goofy ass mistakes. So we're soft, young, and goofy. And the logic of this trade deadline is like, we're just not ready, man. We're not really ready to do any major things. We're not ready for a lot of shit. And I think RJ is a lot more valuable. I agree with you. RJ is a lot more valuable this summer. And I was angry with Bobby, but like, you know what, he showed a lot of, like, he showed a good temperament right now. He didn't do anything stupid.
Exactly.
So I have to give him credit for that, even though I'm not really his big fan right now. But it could have been worse. Could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. Like, here's the thing. There's always a logic of like the move not made, right?
Yeah.
And people don't factor in the move not made the same way they don't factor in screen assists, in basketball. To frame the concept of basketball discourse from the casual, mindless junkie's perspective, does he score points, right? The same person who says, does he score points, is the same person who says, what have you done to spike my dopamine right now, right? And that's just what it comes down to.
That's what it comes down to, yeah.
Like the Chicago Bulls made a bunch of very mediocre, meaningless trades in which they got a hell of a lot worse. So, I mean, salute to Arturas for not being as committed to the 9th seed. But I mean, like, my God, that is one of the worst run franchises I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot. The Kings are another example of just a completely dopamine starved, functionally, mentally challenged front office, right? And ownership group. They have made impulsive, dumb decisions. Time after time, the Raptors have been beneficiaries of that once as well. Like, again, like, these live for the moment, live for the headline stuff. It doesn't work. In real life, it doesn't work. I am perfectly happy with Trace Jackson Davis. I like him.
No, I like him.
He's a solid 25-year-old center who has won minutes in the NBA for a championship contender, or at least a playoff team, right? This is a guy who earned minutes from a coach who is notorious for hating playing young players in Steve Kerr. This is a guy who has 3 years of development reps in a .5 offense. And by the way, is just a fundamentally better player overall in terms of impact than half your roster. You got him for a second round pick. Conversely, yeah, you could have traded 3 firsts for Ivica Zubac. And people don't value a first in 2029 until 2028 comes. Then they're like, I can't believe we traded this. I have lived through this entire Jakob Poeltl experience firsthand. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, don't trade this pick. People are like, it's gonna be a bad pick. You know, who cares about some pick in the future? It's protected. And it's like, what happened? It's the same thing. There's a discounting effect that people have when it comes to the future versus the present. And as a general manager, you need to balance. Yes, the present is more important than the future. How much more important is what matters. New owners come in, they want to shake shit up. Why? Because they want to prove to everybody, look, I got a team. I got a team. Make a splash. I want to win the headlines. I want our team to be relevant. I want us to make the headline, you know? And it's just like, you know, do you remember the film Titanic?
Of course.
Yeah, one of the greatest films of all time. And that whole thing about like you build this wonderful ship. It's iron, it's grand, you know, but it's not enough to just be on this amazing ship. You got to make the headlines. Speed up, Mr. Ismay. Speed up. Crash right into the fucking iceberg. So I feel like a lot of people don't learn from history. And it's, I mean, honestly, I can go down thousands of historical examples of
Well,
overindulgence.
there's an irony right now. I mean, you're seeing like one of the biggest sell-offs in the last 2 days in financial markets, and like, look, emotions run high, and the dopamine thing is real. I mean, okay, we're talking about basketball, but yeah, no, people get frustrated because their dopamine is attached to an outcome that they were hoping would happen, even if the outcome probably isn't good short term. And so it's like you know, I mean, yes, your live was sobering, but it was sobering for the right reasons. Like, I don't think we're doomed. Like, yeah, we're average. We're average. We're fucking average. We're average. We're bang average. Maybe a little bit above average in some areas, but we're average. It's okay. But the point was that you nailed home was like, I don't want to be 16 years below average. I don't want I don't want to rebuild like the Wiz, like how long it took them. The Wiz have been in the doldrums. I give them credit now. At least they're finally doing something. The Wizards have been in the doldrums longer than the Sixers process took. Like, that's a long time. Like, I've never been to DC. I don't know if people actually care about their sports teams. Like, I think they do, but I don't know if I could have survived that, even as like a diehard fan of the team. Like, I'll always be a fan of basketball, but like, there's some things that are just untenable, even for major cities. So I know it's people wanted RJ off the team. Look, I mean, I know, especially after that game last night, like he was not impressive, but he'll wear it.
How do you feel about this? The Brooklyn Nets are waiving Cam Thomas. Surprising, yeah.
I'm not that surprised, actually.
I mean, outright waiving a guy who averages like 24 points per game.
The Sixers traded that kid to Thunder for nothing. For nothing.
Oh, they got a first round pick, dude.
It wasn't a first round pick.
Yeah, it was.
Was it first round?
Yeah, it definitely was. Hold on, let me just check this. Yeah, it was a first round pick, and I think there was more to it as well. Let me see, what was the deal? So, okay, see trade. One sec. So
he had an amazing rookie year. You remember, like,
yeah. Okay, so OKC trade Jared McCain. Also, this will be a really, really bad time to admit that I just bought shares of Amazon yesterday.
Well, you buy the dip.
Fuck. Okay. Okay, so it's a 2026 Rockets first round pick and 3 second round picks.
Okay,
So
the Rockets.
the Rockets first round pick is going to be like late 20s.
It's not nothing. No, it's good.
It's definitely not nothing.
Yeah.
Davix saying this may sound crazy. Chris Boucher has been traded to Brooklyn. If they waive him, should the Raptors pick him up? No. 100% not. Love Chris Boucher, all respect, but no, absolutely not. But yeah, Cam Thomas getting waived, man. This is interesting. Here are some numbers on Cam Thomas this year. Cam is averaging 15 points in 24 minutes, but last year averaged 24 points, 35% 3-point shooting, 44% from the field, 50% 2-point percent. Yo, man, I'm going to tell you this right now. If I compare his stats to RJ Barrett's stats, this is a guy who averages 38 points per 100 possessions. Those are up there with like some of the greatest scorers of all time. He's not a good defender. You know, last year 0.3 boxes minus, 2.8 offensive boxes minus for 25 games. A lot of injuries for sure. But those analytics right there, I promise you, ask the average fan last year, Cam Thomas, RJ Barrett. They're picking Cam Thomas.
Do you think it's like maybe empty calorie stats like on a really bad team?
They are empty calorie stats for sure, but he's still a very talented player.
No, I'm not saying. Of course, he's talented.
He's stubborn.
Yeah,
he's stubborn. That's
stubborn.
what it is. Refuses to buy into any situation. But yeah, I mean, I guess they probably just saw him as a distraction at this point, or maybe just wanted to be, kind to him. I'm sure he will land somewhere. I doubt it'll be a good team, but I'm sure he'll land somewhere. Like, he's not just out of the league a year after averaging 24. But I hope that this is a sobering reality. There are a lot of Raptor fans here who would swear that he was a good player last year. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, look what Anthony Davis got. Not that much.
Yeah, so this is the interesting thing. And this speaks to the point of winning the headline versus winning the trade. Now, the Toronto Raptors had this trade with the Sacramento Kings. I think they thoroughly won that trade. The one that sent Jalen McDaniels to Sacramento for the contract eventually bought out completely, or just canceled, of Sasha Vezenkov, and then Jamal Shed, Davion Mitchell, and then Davion Mitchell ended up turning into the second round pick that turned into Trace Jackson. So basically, Jamal Shed and Trace Jackson Davis for a nothing burger of a basketball player, which is just fucking phenomenal. Now, that all being said, and you got rid of a bad contract. That being said, compare that deal to the Anthony Davis deal, right? The Anthony Davis deal features 2 first-round picks. Here are the first-round picks. OKC 2026. That's the 30th pick.
Yeah.
And it also includes a Warriors 2030 protected pick. Would you like to know what the protections on those picks are? If that pick falls anywhere in the top 20, it is immediately canceled and converted into a second-round pick the next year. That's what you got for Anthony Davis. Now, again, the headline says 2 first-round picks for Anthony Davis. People are like, not so bad. Not so bad, right? But what you really got is a highly unvaluable first-round pick and basically a second-round pick, because there ain't no chance in hell the Warriors are not bad in 2031. So it's just a very stupid way that fans interpret trades and asset valuation. And I think it requires, quite frankly, an understanding of just logic, right? It's the same thing as when people go to the store and they're like, oh, 40% off. 40% off of what? Right? It's like if I'm a retailer and I just want to trick people into buying things, I'll just mark up my prices and then put everything on sale.
Oh, dealerships do that all the time because they never mention the freight. So like the MSRP is this, and then by the way, you have to pay this. Like it's
Oh no, I'm literally saying, like, let's say I'm a grocery store. No, fuck that. I'm a convenience store. Okay, so let's just say I mark up the price of my bag of M&Ms. So instead of selling it for an average, and I'm talking like a big bag of M&Ms. So instead of selling it for $14, I'm gonna sell it for $18. And instead of $18, I'm gonna put a big sign on it that says 40% off.
Yeah.
I'm not taking 40% off the correct rightful price, right? So it's just a little bit like this idea of like things being discounted. I remember last year when Luka Doncic got traded for Anthony Davis. I came on this show and every show and literally anywhere I can go, and I said it was the worst trade in NBA history. And people said, no, no, Anthony Davis is still a top 10 player. How can it be a worst trade in NBA history? We're seeing it now, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look bad now because they still got that draft pick, but of course they couldn't have known that. It kind of worked out in a weird way. I we're living in a different. I don't know if I love this CBA, by the way. Like, I know some people really like it.
what do you not like?
Well, Samson Folk, I'm mimicking something. He brought up the point. Like, first of all, knowing what everyone makes, I'd rather just be like a percentage thing. But like it's like you can't really the restrictions in the freedom of making trades is so profound than any other time I can remember. And that was on purpose. Like, the owners did that on purpose, and like, I get it. But like, as soon as you sign that one player to like an untenable contract, he has to be so good, or if he's not amazing, like there's a world where Giannis, there is a world where Giannis turns into Anthony Davis. I'm not saying that's like next year, but eventually he does. Like, should it be that way? Like, is that what the NBA has turned into? Like, oh yeah, John Morant's good, but he's not $50 million good. But now that he's making that much per year, I'm not going to give you a bag of chips for him. But it's still like, it diminishes. Like, John Morant's still a good player, right? Like, it's like a new market. Am I talking into the void? Like, what do you think? It's just weird. I don't know.
I mean, there's a few things that I don't think people do well mentally, which, I mean, they should be aware of, because anytime you have a thing that you don't do well mentally, it's a bias, right? I don't think people interpret raw values as a percentage of a whole very well, right? So they get shocked by the sticker value, right? So someone asks you a question like, is it a lot to spend $300 for groceries? I don't know. Where do you live? How much do you make? What's your household income? How many people are in your house? Because that's going to help me answer the question, right? It's a similar thing with salaries, right? In a vacuum, a player making $27 million a year to average 10 points per game and grab 8 rebounds is probably a lot of money. But also, Isaiah Hartenstein makes $27 million a year and isn't that much a better player than Jakob Poeltl. The context around it is completely different, though, right? He's on a championship team. Yak is not the finishing piece on a championship team. Maybe the Raptors are among the people that don't understand the context and value of relatively stating things. So again, if your roster is unexpectedly cheap at places, it gives you the leeway to overpay in other places. Now, unfortunately, the way fans will hear it will always be expressed in individual terms, right? So it'll be Isaiah Hartenstein makes 27 million, Shea makes 40 million. They'll always view it like that. What are these players actually worth to the whole, as a part of the whole? What are we trying to do? How many extra playoff games are we going to play? Like, another good example of this is just, we don't pay players extra money like on the salary books for getting to the playoffs and playing in the playoffs, right? But a championship team presumably is going to play at least 20 games in the playoffs. That's 20 extra games.
Yeah.
Right. There's just a lot of extra stuff that I think people need to think about. And I do believe that I've heard this take repeated many, many times, that we need to start expressing salaries as a percentage of the cap.
Yeah, right? I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, similarly, we should probably start expressing points as a percentage of points. So a case in point, today, we were having this conversation about Kawhi Leonard in 2016, 2017 on the San Antonio Spurs. Now, someone brought up, he didn't score a lot. So he scores 25 points, but his team only scored 105. And he did it in 33 minutes. Whereas a lot of guys at that time were playing 36, 37 minutes on teams that were scoring more than 105 points. So just like, how do you express that? Well, you express it as a rate stat. He averaged 39 points per 100 possessions. And that allows you to even it out. Because now I can compare what he did in 2017 to Michael Jordan in 1986. Now we can have a conversation. Then we can talk about difficulty, conference level, teammates. There has to be a more evolved way to talk about this. So similarly with Jakob Poeltl, again, what are you comfortable with as an expression of a whole versus the raw amount? 27 million sounds absurd for Jakob Poeltl. But in the final year when he's owed 27 million, his contract is 15% of the cap. Is it really that absurd to pay 15% of the cap for Jakob Poeltl? I'm actually asking.
No. And the other thing is like, what did you mention the other day? And people know this intellectually. Again, it's just people living in the moment. Like when you start going through the years of his contract, like he gets more valuable. Like obviously, if there's some type of like major injury, he falls off a cliff. I don't think that will happen. But Jakob Poeltl tomorrow or Jakob Poeltl 2 years from now versus today. Yes, he's older, but his contract, like you'll have burned through those years, and so that value goes up, right? So it's like, I by the way, I listened. I eventually fell asleep, but I listened to you guys talking about like his back. I don't remember who called in, but like, yeah, like. That's another thing where there's all this anxiety about, oh my God, it's the trepidation with NBA players. Like it could all be over in a second. And he's he's a dead asset because he woke up yesterday and he can't play anywhere. Like that's living in the moment, but we're all victims of that. Mm-hmm. We all fall into that trap after a bad game, like are they over there with a bad workout or something? And it's just like, guys, like, we have to keep like cooler heads prevail,
Absolutely. So in 2025, 2026, which is this year, Scotty Barnes is making exactly 25% of the cap, which I think is fair. Brandon Ingram's making 24.6% of the cap. Emmanuel Quickley's making 21% of the cap. And RJ Barrett is making 17.9% of the cap. So if we break it down as an expression, if every starter was paid equal money and all you paid was your starters, because this is cap, not going above the cap, below the luxury tax, whatever, you could make a case that every starter should make around 17 to 18%, 16 to 18%, 15 to 16%. In an even Steven world, if you were building out a roster from scratch, you could make a case that the average starter is like 15% of the cap in the NBA. And then the average like all-star is 25% of the cap. And then the average superstar is like 32% of the cap.
Hang on though, devil's advocate. Had this Sabonis trade gone through, and suppose it was Yak and RJ, and forget about the picks for a second. So your starting lineup is effectively Sabonis, Ingram, Scotty, Quickley, and whatever guard. Like, so Scotty, Ingram, Sabonis, and Quickley, that's north of 75% of your entire cap sheet right there. Would you be able to be like...
Well, Sabonis makes 27.38% of the cap at $42 million this year.
Yeah.
Clutch Tatum, what's up, man?
Yo, am I on the call?
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, man?
What's good? We were talking about expressions and percentages of a percentage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you not bang your mic around too much? That would be very appreciated because 550 people can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
I gotta remind everyone when they come up when they have bad audio. Anyways, so what are your thoughts on the trade deadline? Trace Jackson Davis.
I actually really like the trade deadline because, well, what I was worried about this trade deadline would be that Bobby would be making a lot of panic moves And
Okay.
it didn't happen. He didn't force a trade. You know what I mean? If it's not there, it's not there.
Absolutely. Yeah. To give people an idea of, and this is again, like, and once again, to equate money, right, through the years. In 2014, so let me just see, when the Raptors broke through in 2012, 2013, Rudy Gay was making 28% of the salary cap the year before they traded him. That's more than what Scotty makes today, more than Ingram. So just to give you an idea of how bloated that salary really was, he was making 28% of the fucking cap. Okay. The very next year, the Raptors had DeMar DeRozan as their highest paid player. He was making 16% of the cap. So that's slightly less than what RJ makes right now. And they had a whole bunch of really cheap contracts across the board. Right. When the Raptors won the championship in 18-19, Kyle Lowry was the highest paid player. He was making 32% of the cap, which is a ridiculous amount. Kawhi Leonard, for some reason, was making 23% of the cap. Marc Gasol was making 24% of the cap. Serge Ibaka was making 21% of the cap. Danny Green was making 10% of the cap. Norman Powell was making 9.2, and Fred VanVleet was making 8.5. When the Raptors inevitably blew it up with the Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, that shit, okay, Pascal Siakam was making 28.7% of the cap. That is, again, more than what Scotty Barnes makes now. And Fred VanVleet was making 17.8% of the cap, 17.18% of the cap, which is around roughly what RJ Barrett makes right now. Once again, this is a better way to look at historically how this is built up. So to find a player comparable to what Jakob Poeltl makes throughout Raptors, good times, Jakob Poeltl in his max heyday, like the best it gets, will be slightly, he'll be paid the way Jonas Valanciunas was paid in 2016-17, roughly. So about 16%. Do you see my point? People have not adjusted to the idea of what is 27 million, what is 25 million, but the expression is this: the percentage of the cap is what matters. Yeah. Anyways, let's bring on D.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Let's bring on D Waves and Recruiter Dude. What were you saying?
No, I was going to say that's a good point. I just feel like now that I'm sort of like meditating on this with Sabonis and what we had, because I know there were a lot of like Sabonis people who really wanted that to happen.
Sure.
Percentage wise, I don't think Sabonis is tenable from a percentage point of view. Now that I'm looking at it, like I'm visualizing it, it's like this team. We just don't have the weight behind that type of front court to like make us better. Like we're still probably a first round exit. On the back of, by the way, the Cavs getting better, Detroit being amazing still. Like the Cavs are clear. You've already said this. Like you did a really good live about this. Like they're clear and ahead. Even though we played them well earlier this year, like they're better than us de facto. Like that's not even disputable now. So yeah, it sucks, but
it's a very interesting point here by Josh Lewinberg. I completely disagree. I don't know why the Raptors are consistently trying to push this narrative that Jakob Poeltl is better than he is. Like, let's just stop. Like, people stop lying to themselves? I heard Bobby Webster say, like, oh, he's a top 10 center, blah, 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 blah. Come on, man. Hefe, what's up?
Yo, you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I was just trying to ask, honestly, I feel like Raptors are in a very interesting spot, but if you're the GM of the Raptors, I don't know if you like to play hypotheticals or not, but
love playing hypotheticals.
Perfect. Who on this team is a genuine building block with Scotty? Obviously, we know Scotty.
CMB.
You think CMB and Scotty could coexist?
Yep.
In a starting lineup? Okay. So what do you surround those two building blocks with? Like ideally, what's your prototypical center, point guard, and shooting guard?
Stretch.
And defense, of course.
I mean, they compensate for a lot of defense, so you can actually make up for the fact that maybe one of the players doesn't play a great deal of defense. But I'll give you 3 players who'd work really well. Granted, not exactly on the right timeline, but Miles Turner at center, CMB at the 4, Scotty at the 3, Zach LaVine at the 2. Again, I'm not talking about injuries. I'm just talking player archetype. Yeah. LaVine at the 2, Steph at the 1, something like that. Kyrie at the 1, something like that. Derek White at the 2, maybe. Derek White at the 2 might be better. Yeah, Derek White at the 2, Steph at 1, Miles Turner at the 5. Yeah, it works. That can work.
A team like that, let's just say each player at their prime. Curry might be a bit of like a cheat code. I feel like
that is a total cheat code.
Yeah.
Use Kyrie. Yeah.
Sure. So you think a team, like hypothetically, that kind of team should be able to compete in this East?
You know, you bring up a really good question. This came up on another show. There's a chance, like, because Scotty is he's such a Swiss Army knife. Like, he's so malleable, right? Defensively, he's a very good player. He's also like a front court playmaker. Like he can do so many things. It's possible that they don't know actually how to build around him because they're stuck between like, okay, we're a good defensive team, but we have like he's also good to be on a good offensive team, and they're kind of like stuck in sort of purgatory of like where to go. And so like you asked like the perfect question. Like, I mean, CMB, yeah, he's great, but with Scotty, I don't know. Is that a championship team like them together? Like I don't think they're 100% sure. Like they're accumulating assets and there's players that they like, but I don't think they have an absolute goal in mind. I'm not convinced they know what that is. They'll probably tell you like, no, we know. I don't know. They might.
I think, yeah, that's a good point. I think with a player like Scotty, and I'm not going to say Scotty's LeBron, but a player like LeBron, because they are pretty much the best rebounder, passer, like maybe not shooter, but probably defensive player at one point of their career on the team, it's hard to kind of know what you surround that player with. You know,
you surround them with the same thing you want to surround anyone with: space, dynamic, multi-tool players, good defenders. I mean, can you think of a player who can't use a little bit more defense around them? Can you think of a player who would benefit from having a non-shooter around them?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, there's obviously like specialists. Like you look at a player like Chris Paul, you got to get him a lob threat. The Trae Young, you got to get him a lob threat. But that's not necessarily true. It's not like if Chris Paul had Miles Turner or Arvydas Sabonis his whole life, prime Arvydas Sabonis. It's not like he wouldn't have adjusted a little bit and become a pick and pop demon, right? Throwing that pass back. So again, great players find a way. I do think Scotty is a complicated player to build around, and it's not all good. So on the one hand, he papers over everything defensively. On the other hand, there's some complications offensively. He's not a great shooter. He's not like the most shifty driver. So that's where the LeBron, comparison falls apart. Whereas LeBron can solo drive an offense and you just need to put shooters around him. With Scotty, you need screeners as well. You need secondary ball handlers. I mean, I'm not saying LeBron didn't need secondary ball handlers. He had Boobie Gibson, Kyrie Irving. He's had a lot. He had Dwayne Wade. It's kind of disingenuous and kind of gross to call Dwayne Wade a secondary ball handler. But it's like every player has a player that they work really well with. Scotty's best synergy has come with roll cut bigs. So I actually have a lot of faith in this Trace Jackson Davis thing. Scotty's had positive synergy with Chris Boucher. He's had positive synergy with Precious Achiuwa. He's had positive synergy with Otto Porter. There's certain players that he works very well with and certain players he doesn't. He also has really positive synergy with Sandro Mamukelashvili. So if I'm looking at around the league, who are players that I would love to put around Scotty? Ironically, everyone in Utah, Jaren Jackson Jr., Lauri Markkanen, potentially Ace Bailey, like Keontae George. These are the types of players you would want to put around Scotty. And ironically, if I just drop Scotty Barnes into Utah right now in place of Ace Bailey, they're a playoff team very quickly.
No, that's a great point. But isn't it obvious that Utah, for example, like that's not a roster that's full of specialists. Like you actually have somewhat rounded players. Whereas our team, like Kennard got traded. Like I think Kennard's a great player, but like we have Battle, but he's such an incomplete specialist that I'm sure the team likes.
So is Luke. Luke Kennard's pretty incomplete. He's not a great driver. He's not a great defender. There's a lot.
No. That's the point I was going to make. Like, you know, we have like these incomplete players, and because I'm just basically mimicking what people said online. Like, oh, I wish we had Luke Kennard. It's like, guys, we have Battle. The point is that the specialists don't get a lot of minutes because the coaching staff knows like there's just all these holes that they have to then taper over. Like, I think. Honestly, I might be wrong, but I think IQ is a $32 million specialist at the end of the day. And in a lot of ways, like
I think to date, I think to date we've, for the most part, surrounded Scotty with a lot of players that are, except for BI, a lot of players that are not starting on most other championship teams.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's like.
Well, I mean, look, like you could throw Scotty onto the current Lakers in place of LeBron, right? So what would you have? You would have Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, Scotty Barnes, DeAndre Ayton, Rui Hachimura, something like that.
That would be Scotty survive. That would be Scotty existing in like a Luka ecosystem, right?
But I got no problem with that. You know, you could also throw Scotty into OKC in place of J-Dub. I mean, you can't throw him in. I think you could probably throw him into OKC in place of Shea if AJ Mitchell turns into what you think he's gonna. Here's another example. You could probably throw Scotty onto Denver in place of Jokic, and they'd still be a playoff team.
Playoff, yes, but true contender, maybe not, right?
I feel like you can throw Scotty on the Knicks and replace Brunson.
No.
I don't know about that.
But you could throw him in place of Karl-Anthony Towns. And I mean, like another example is like, Scotty in place of LaMelo. You know, it's not the same, but you get much better defensively.
Yeah.
Sorry, someone got background noise. I'm assuming it's D waves. Sorry, man. You got background noise, bro. And it's not really even background noise. You just don't have your headphones, so I can hear myself speaking while you're speaking.
It seems like I don't know if Scotty is the player, and I'm not trying to say he's not the player to build around. It's just that you can't build an offensive ecosystem where Scotty's the engine to a top 5 offense. You could, but we haven't done that, at least to this date. We don't have the players to do it. We need.
Okay, so I was like, again, you asked me if I want to play hypothetical. Play hypothetical. Okay, who's a better player right now? Player, not offensive player. Austin Reeves or Scotty Barnes?
Scotty Barnes.
Okay, perfect. Who's a better player? Devin Booker or Scotty Barnes? Overall.
I'm taking Scotty.
Okay, cool. So Austin Reeves, Devin Booker, Scotty Barnes, and literally any 2 serviceable bigs. There's your top 5 offense.
Yeah.
So look, you do need something, but I'm sorry. When LeBron won a championship, his second best teammate was better than any teammate Scotty has ever had, and that's Kyrie Irving. And then when he won a championship the first 2 times, his second and third best teammates were better than any 2 teammates Scotty's had ever in Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. I don't know why people like to pretend, oh, this guy can't be number 1, this guy can't be this guy can't be that. Last I checked, most people win championships with multiple Hall of Famers. It's not like if you gave Scotty, like if I put Scotty in place of Kevin Durant on the Golden State Warriors, yeah, they're not as great. Okay, cool, but they're still a championship contender. We're gonna sit here and pretend that Scotty can't replace Harrison fucking Barnes? Like, yeah, like they're still a championship contender, and maybe with Steph Curry he wouldn't be the best player, but with Austin Reeves he could still be the best player, and Austin Reeves can create a lot of shots. I think the Raptors' problem right now is their shot creator ain't so much a shot creator as a shot taker, and shot creators are different. They have a dynamic verve to how they play basketball. I think right now Emmanuel Quick is a better player than Malik Monk and Zach LaVine, but Zach LaVine and Malik Monk fit Scotty Barnes a lot better.
Yeah,
right?
I'd like to believe that like Bobby knows that honestly, this so far what we have like around Scotty is not worth shutting out any draft picks for like the right center. Like we're just too far. We don't have the requisite pieces to go all
No, but
in
if he
yet.
knew that, then why did he re-sign Poeltl?
Maybe asset management. I don't know. We don't know what people.
No,
might
but
have been
that's poor
offering.
No, but that's poor asset management because if Poeltl isn't re-signed, you could flip like Dallas. Not that we should ever make an AD trade, but if Poeltl wasn't re-signed, they would have taken Poeltl's contract. We know that for a fact on the back of what the deal was with the Wizards.
I'm just curious what maybe. I don't know if there's any offers for Poeltl last year, and maybe they're thinking, oh, okay, well we have a big that can net us maybe like a few seconds, or I don't know what, but maybe that's why they brought him back, and then now he's injured, so it looks really bad. But I don't know.
No, but it was the term.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. That's above me, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, someone's saying, imagine Scotty with Jason Tatum. Dude, imagine Scotty in place of Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown and Derek White and, a stretch big like Nikola Vucevic. Like, come on, man. That works. They're a contender. They're the best team in the Eastern Conference.
I was even thinking the Spurs dynasty. If you put Scotty in place of Tim Duncan, I like that team.
Sure. Yeah.
I like that
Scotty with Manu and Tony works very well.
Yeah.
Scotty is a chameleon. He can replace a lot of players. I mean, if you wanted to put Scotty in place of Manu, it could even work a little bit. Like
it's just
Duncan and Scotty. Like I mean the shooting, but like I mean, what did we not see yesterday? Him just pull up. Those are like that shot right there over Rudy Gobert. I'm not gonna glaze it and say it's like perfect or whatever, but Scotty's got shooting talent. He's got shooting touch.
He's just needs to go for a whole season so the league could guard him as a shooter. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, he's gone very cold as a 3-point shooter because I think his legs are gassed, man. You need your legs for 3-point shots, especially with his form. You definitely need your legs. And what's interesting? When he made All-Star initially, that first 35, 36 game sample, like I think it was 32 or 34 games, he was like 39% from three on stupid volume. I just want to be clear about that. Stupid volume.
It's not the first time you start off super high and then his legs kind of maybe gave out because of leveraging him. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, okay, get him a roster. It's not like Kawhi Leonard was a 28-point per game scorer and a DPOY. Those two things never happened at the same time. He was at one point he was a DPOY, and then he became a mega scorer and he became an average defender, and then he got older and he became a average to below average defender. It takes a lot of legs to do the stuff that Scotty does defensively for the Raptors. And I personally, I really do think him and Trace Jackson Davis is going to have like some positive synergy, even though Trace can't shoot. He's a good screener, and I'm not too mad at the Raptors trade deadline. I'm not thrilled about it. Obviously I would have been thrilled with Day'Ron Sharpe for 2 second-round picks, but clearly that trade was not available.
No, I think I'm not sure if you saw. I think it was Garrett Temple. He said on I think Hello and Welcome that if a trade happens, it's gonna be a small trade. Like they're not trying to break up the locker room, the good vibes. They want to maintain that. It's gonna be someone that fits obviously like the personalities that we currently have. So
why was RJ so rattled yesterday? I think it's just frustration over the game.
I think he was like he made 2 mistakes late, and then that was
he had one of the worst games of his life. Period.
Yeah, that was bad.
Negative 10 box plus minus is hard to do.
Yeah.
Are you guys not afraid about this sort of RJ IQ like love affair? Like, taking the ball out of Scotty's hands. It's a problem.
Annoying. It's mad annoying.
Like you almost trade RJ just to sort of get out of that sort of like pitfall. Now that I think about it.
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I definitely wanted RJ traded today. The fact that he's not
so did I.
Perfectly fine with it. But yeah.
The humanistic aspect of it. Imagine hearing your names in trade rumors for the past 2 months. It's not easy.
I totally get it. Yeah. Totally get that. Anyways, guys, any final thoughts, yo?
That's about it.
Yep.
It's I knew it was going to be like anticlimactic, but they still got a center. So what did you say? Like he's automatically in the absence of Poeltl, like he's one of our best front court players. Is he not? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's 5th in value of a replacement in his draft class. And he's played half as many minutes as the guys ahead of him.
He sets
Here's
good
a
screens. Like,
great screener. Yeah.
There's a clip of William Loop, I think it was Jakob hitting like a corner three or something. Do you think that's something that's genuinely being worked on, or is just...
I don't know why they would be practicing in practice if they're never going to work on it. I mean, obviously, like at some point he's going to have to shoot. And I've always believed that Jakob Poeltl could shoot. There's been a rumor around Raptor circles since 2016 that he was sneaky a good shooter, and it's just a joke. But
Yeah.
hey, man, like if he's got such good touch around the rim. That's all hand-eye coordination and touch, right? Like that's what it is. There's no way. Like I always say, touch and free throw shooting progression are the things that determine whether or not a player can successfully expand their shot out. So, you know, I would be comfortable if Jakob Poeltl just got cool with shooting a 15-foot jump shot. But he's
like Marc Gasol and
but you know what's funny? He takes 15-foot floaters all the time.
Yeah, just put two hands on the ball and just
put two hands on the ball and make it. Like I don't know what this is, like a mental thing at this point with Jakob Poeltl, but he is extremely efficient. And so many times when the Raptors throw the ball to like someone like CMB or Mobo and they can't finish, I'm always reminded, like, man, you really do miss that player who can be a threat in that situation, right? Yeah.
And one thing, you flashed a stat once, I forget which live it was, but you said something about Raptors. It's funny that Raptors 3-point percentage actually climbs up slightly while Yak's on the floor.
Yep.
Do you think Trace could have such an effect as well?
I don't see why not. I mean,
he's not nearly the finisher that Jakob is, so he doesn't have as much gravity, but he's a very, very fast player. And so because he's a good passer and a fast player, that creates a possibility of paint touches early in transition, which can create a potential, you know, pass out to the corner. So there's a chance, yeah.
But Trey's got more. He's more of a lob threat, though. Just from athletic point of view, like
than Jakob Poeltl. Yeah, everyone's more of a lob threat than Jakob Poeltl. I think Jakob Poeltl dunked like 5 times in the last 5 years.
But I mean that answers the question about some gravity. Like if you can roll really well and jump up and grab the ball,
he doesn't have as great. Like his hands are not as great as Jakob's either.
I seen a pre-draft clip of him as like a shooting mechanic of Trace. I'm not saying we're gonna get him and he's gonna become a shooter, but his form doesn't look busted. Maybe that's something that they think they could work on in an off season or two. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yeah. Alex Wave saying Rob kicked me out of the room. I did not kick. Well, I mean, I eventually had to kick you out of the room because you're saying that you couldn't hear me. So I figured to kick you so you can come back. Now, if you want to come up, please come up. But please be mindful that your audio was atrocious the last time you were up here. And like, I feel like 50 to 60 people left almost immediately after that. So just check your audio before you come up. And I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Okay. Any final thoughts, guys?
I'm out, guys. Cheers.
Me too.
Cool. Peace, man. Clutch Tatum, any final thoughts, man? No, you're gone? Okay, cool. Yeah. Again, I wasn't trying to be rude at all. I just, you were not. I was hearing myself talking while you were talking, while your microphone was on. JMO F1T. Rob, how do I join? Answer now. Answer me, bro. No. You are being put in a timeout. Rob, I'm talking to you. What is wrong with you? What is this entitlement, Joker? Anyways, no, you know what? I put you in a timeout before you just get banned. Straight up. Banned. Yeah, banned. Cam Thomas on a minimum. No. I'm good. I think I'm having the same thought that most general managers are having, which is low efficiency, high volume chuckers are just like. Oh, I asked you a question in the chat on StreamYard. Okay. So you asked the following questions. Rob, looking at the deadline roster now, do you think they're actually built for a deep playoff run, playoff push, or they still one major piece away? What type of player is the missing fit? Shot creator, rim protector, or more shooting? Aside from injuries, think a shot creator who can shoot and defend be the missing piece. Do you think this Raptors core has a real playoff ceiling, or are they stuck in the play-in treadmill? And who on the roster needs to take a leap for them to be a legit threat? Jacoby would need to take a legit jump. Grady taking a legit jump would expand spacing tremendously. Jamal Shed becoming a more reliable pull-up jump shooter would help a lot. Scotty being a more reliable shooter, and CMB again, it's just shooting. These guys just need to shoot better. With the deadline done, what's the Raptors' real plan now? Are they trying to build a real playoff identity with this core, or are they using the rest of the season to elevate who's actually part of the long-term core before Bobby Webster makes a bigger offseason consolidation move? Answer this for me, please. Okay. These are good questions. A real playoff identity. I mean, personally, I'm a little bit confused by the questions because, no offense, like I've answered, I think, a lot of these questions before, but I'm trying to answer it in a different way so not be repetitive or tedious. I think it's hard to build continuity from playoff run to playoff run if you have massive roster turnover, right? So I think that's a tough thing where, okay, let's just say you go to the playoffs this year, you have CMB, RJ, IQ play major rotation minutes, and the next year all three are shipped. It's just weird, right? So I think personally, if I'm a team, I'm looking to get my identity in order, my pieces in order before I start making playoff runs. But hey, the Raptors want to run before they can crawl. That's cool. The playoffs can be great to understand who your players are. Obviously, you can go to the playoffs. Grady's not going to get DNP CDs, so he's going to have a chance to maybe show how he performs in those big moments. And whatever you learn, you have to chalk up to limited sample. The regular season doesn't just wash away because the playoffs are a more immediate thing. But the playoffs are a great way for teams to learn, for players to learn about themselves, and maybe you go to the playoffs and you average 6 turnovers a game, or you shoot 14% from 3 in a series against a team that just scouted all your tendencies, and now you know that Dominic saying to the Raptors wasting this year. I wouldn't say they're wasting a year, but there's definitely better ways to use the year than the way they're using it, for sure. I mean, on the one hand, you're not going to get a top 5 pick. On the other hand, you're not going to win 2 rounds in the playoffs, most likely. So, yeah. Will Trace Jackson Davis play today? I doubt it. Anyways, yeah, I mean, look, I think to the people who are like, the Raptors are done, the Raptors are not done. So there's $900,000 left to play with. If they don't buy out Chris Paul's contract, I mean, there's $900,000 to play. No, there's $900,000 to play with regardless of what happens with Chris Paul. You can just outright waive him, and there's still $900,000 to play with. That will give you room to sign various 10 days, maybe go sign Mo Bamba, maybe go sign someone on the buyout market. There is an opportunity here. Now, what are they going to do with that money? Anyone's guess, but it's never a bad thing to operate underneath the luxury tax line. Yeah. And I mean, the greatest thing that came out of today was no first round picks were traded. Do you know how many first round picks have been traded at Raptors deadlines? We traded a first for Thad. We traded a first for Yak. We traded a first for BI. So the 2 last years that we were actually good, we traded first round picks at the deadline. The fact that we didn't trade a first round pick this year tells me 2 things. Number one, the Raptors are changing their strategy, which is good. Very good. I'm glad they didn't trade a first round pick. Number 2, they probably already have a good feel for what they want to do with this draft. And maybe they're not sweating too much if they fall down a little bit, right? Like, straight up. Jordan and Mars nap together says Kawhi is better than KD peak for peak. Yeah, I agree. Pen, you were cooking today. Kawhi easily has a top 15 peak ever. I agree. All right. I think you also left a very, very nasty super chat in regards to me, but also I don't remember that super chat. 1, selective memory. 2, I wasn't there to respond to it when it ended up going off. So, anyways, I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Enjoy. This has been a somewhat uneventful trade deadline. Nothing really major happened for the Raptors. Giannis doesn't get moved. Ja doesn't get moved. But a lot of big names did change places. The Indiana Pacers, in my opinion, as much as it was about Mars, not you. Really? I seem to remember it being about me, but I could be wrong. As I said, selective memory. But are you sure? Did you not say something really nasty? Because I remember. No, you definitely did, dude. You definitely did. Because I remember seeing your face, seeing that Swiper thing, and thinking, I wonder if Swiper has a burner trying to send a super chat about me. You definitely sent something negative about me today. I don't remember it, so I don't care. But I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. Yeah, all things considered, Amazon stock is down. Hell of a day to buy Amazon stock yesterday. I feel like a complete moron. But that being said, I will catch y'all later. I got 3 hours to work on pen dance before the Raptors take on the Chicago Bulls, and then we do it all over again. And Lord help me, if the Raptors lose to the fucking Bulls tonight, I might actually just cancel the fucking channel. Like that might be the next step up. I am tired of this team being immature. Thankfully, nobody was. Well, I don't say thankfully because I wanted someone to get traded, but now that no one has been traded, maybe we can move forward and people can stop being such pansies and giving up leads in the fourth quarter, and we can just focus on the rest of the season, right? So, who is saying who? The East is a super power conference now. They are most certainly not, but they are better. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I wouldn't be all that opposed. Well, actually, I'd be ecstatic to have Chris Paul on this team. I think he could help. Young man said you were calling our wins fake anyway. Let's lose, man. I don't think all of our wins are fake, but yeah, many of our wins have been of the fake variety. Think they will use the first to get a better point guard or a big. Well played, Raps. Okay. Rob, tough day. Amazon stock and you owe your girlfriend $200. That is true. I do owe my girlfriend $200 because I didn't do the pen dance stuff yesterday. So yeah. AG saying is for Chris Paul reporting, I just got here. Every indication is that he will not be reporting, and the Raptors have kind of asked him to not report. So it's like a mutual thing at this point. I wonder where Chris Paul ends up, right? He's burned a lot of bridges across the league, but I remain one of his biggest fans. So, anyways, talk to y'all later. Enjoy, and thank you so much to Davik and Araf Haroon for our 2 super chats today. Thank you so much. Elliot Roberts saying, great job, Rob. Thank you. I know you said you only care about the process over the results of the game, but where do we want to end? Better draft pick or better playoff seeding? Better draft pick. Way better draft pick. I would like to be the 10th seed that fights our way into the play-in and gets smoked in the first round by the Detroit Pistons as pick 8. And then we, or conversely, be the 7th seed that gets bounced in the play-in and then doesn't, yeah. Like, I don't care about seeding at all. I don't, I'm perfectly fine with 6. Maybe 6 is a happy medium, right? Either be 1st or be 6th, 7th. There's no point in being 4th, 3rd, 2nd. It doesn't matter. Playoff seeding is a thing that amplifies as you go further in the playoffs. So if you're the 1st seed in the Eastern Conference, if you're the Detroit Pistons, for instance, right now, you have a better record than most teams in the West. So there's a chance that if you beat Minnesota in the finals, which obviously Detroit is thinking about the finals right now, they're thinking about reinforcements. So if they go into the playoffs and they end up winning 2-3 rounds, they go into the finals, they'll have home court advantage there. If you're a team that's 3rd place because you're trying to hang an Atlantic Division banner, I'm sorry. We've already done that like a bunch of times. So this ain't like 2007 where it's like, oh, it's the first time we won the Atlantic Division. We don't care about the Atlantic Division. 2013 won the Atlantic Division 2, got bounced in the first round. I think we won the Atlantic Division the year we got swept by the Wizards too. I don't care about these banners anymore, yo. I don't mean to sound like an entitled brat, but like winning the Atlantic, getting home court in the playoffs where you don't expect to advance deep, it's just very stupid. And I understand from an MLSC perspective, but yo, I'd rather have MLSC get more home games, or would I rather the Raptors pick 15th in the draft versus the 20th in the draft? Give me the 15th pick. All right. And if you want any evidence of what I'm talking about, go back to 2 years ago when the Raptors could have picked. Again, I'm not upset with Jacoby. I always feel need to say that. Kalel Ware was picked 15th. Jacoby was picked 19th. Go back to the Giannis draft where the Raptors lost their pick in the Kyle Lowry trade. I believe that was the same draft. And Giannis was picked 15th overall. Sometimes you desperately, desperately want that 15th overall pick. In fact, Jared McCain, who was just traded today, was the 16th pick in that draft. So again, sometimes in a draft this deep, you really want to get as high as possible, and you want to pray that someone that you think is top 10 falls to like 15 or 16. Who knows, man? You might get your, right now someone asked me like, who's the other core piece next to Scotty? And I said CMB. What if it's not even a guy on this roster? Maybe it's the guy who you draft next year at 15th overall. Go get it. If you're picking 15th, just go for AJ Boozer at that point. Why? It's not like the Raptors. Yeah. Queen dropped a lot. Queen did drop a lot. He did. But this past year, Carter Bryant was taken 14th. I love Carter, So, yeah. Anyways, talk to y'all later. Have a great one. Enjoy. And thank you to the 600, 800 plus people who were in here today. Probably thousands, honestly, at this point. I assume people come in and dip out or whatever. There's a lot of really good players in this draft. I, for one, am really glad that at least for now, the Raptors are keeping the 2026 first round pick. It's going to be fun to cover the draft. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.